I wanted to do a quick follow up on my last post, which was around energetic transmutation and cycle breakers. Oftentimes in kind of religious spheres, you you often encounter people asking, well, the classical question, right? Like, well, if there's a God, why does he allow X, Y, and Z? Why is there why do bad things happen on Earth? Why is there abuse? Why is there any of that negative stuff? And it's a fair question, and it links back to what I mentioned last time. How can you hold these energies and not let them propagate to the next generation, to the next culture, to the next person? How can you hold it and then eventually transmute it so you don't basically suffer from it? You transmute it, you alchemize it into ultimately into love, into a high frequency, and you then kind of the magician, right? In that situation, it's a fair question. How come there is bad? And coming back to the principle of polarity of the Kabbalion, say, well, everything is on a polar scale. So logically, if you think about it extremely logically, let's assume there's light and there's dark. If there's only light, how can you say that there's light? There's no contrast. You cannot something cannot be light if it doesn't contrast with dark. Light appears in the darkness. You can see light in the darkness. What makes light light is the fact that its polar opposite is dark. It makes logical sense. Um, and that's also what Alan Watts mentioned. Um, there's no there's an there's no life without death. There's no black without white. You need the contrast, otherwise the thing doesn't exist. How can you identify light if there's no dark? It doesn't work. And so again, my belief is that we choose to reincarnate, until we don't anymore. And this is all to have experiences because this promotes soul growth, the accumulation of experiences so that you can have a complete spectrum. And there's this kind of quote or saying, from the universe. Someone must have put it out there. The universe saying, if I hadn't made you uncomfortable, you wouldn't have moved. And I believe this to a T. Like I was put in situations, and I know that a lot of the struggles and challenges that I experienced, if I did not encounter those in my life, I would have never become what I am right now. There's no way. There's something about the human mind. It will always like move towards or stay in a comfortable position. If it's in a comfortable position, it does not move. There's no propensity to move whatsoever. And so something has to make us uncomfortable, otherwise we don't jump. And so from a soul's perspective, let's assume you want to achieve soul growth, or you have a particular experience you want to realize, like potentially your non-physical identity as you have reincarnated. So let's assume for a second you would be a soul. Let's make assumption like all of this is how it works, and let's put ourselves in the position of the soul. And strategically, how would you design the life so that you achieve the purpose of waking up or ascending, or whatever words you want to put onto it, like, or becoming a more decent human being, whatever you wanna, whatever flavor you wanna add to that. How would you design that life? Would you design lots of comfort, plenty of money, everything you want, just abundance from the get-go? You're born into it. You don't even have to work. Logically, that's never gonna lead to anything. That's gonna lead to you enjoying your all the physical things you're surrounded by, which is not, I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm saying from a soul's perspective, a soul that decides, okay, this time around we're gonna grow and we're gonna bring back a lot of value. That's the assumption, right? We're not saying that it's not okay to be wealthy or anything like that. I'm just saying let from a soul's perspective, we want to have that experience of growth. You're gonna tick all the challenging boxes. You're gonna tick all of them, and I certainly did. And it's not pleasant. It sucks. Um, but logically, if you think about it purely logically, that's the only way to achieve that. How are you ever gonna realize? Okay, you're born into this flesh vehicle, right? You have a human mind. You react to stimuli. You have the propensity to addiction to everything that surrounds you. The environment is designed in such a way to make you addicted to all of this stuff. How would you ever realize your non-physical identity? How would you realize that you are light? The only way you will ever realize that there's a light inside of you is if you're plunged in darkness. You would never, you wouldn't even look for light if you have plenty, if you're surrounded by light. You wouldn't even look for it because you don't need it. When do you need light? When you're plunged in darkness. And there might be a period of time, a long period of time, it might be decades, where you just sit in that darkness and you're like, why is there no light? I need to find, can someone give me light? Is there light around me? Like, I need help. Until in 1 second, and who knows what the triggers are? Everyone has different triggers, but within 1 second, you're like, hang on, was there just light? And did I just create that? Am I light? And then you see your light. You see it. First, you don't see it. You're just so occupied with, I am in darkness, I am in darkness, I'm in darkness. Until you kind of detach from it, and from a higher perspective, you're like, hang on, I'm the light here. I can produce light. And that's the start then of energetic transmutation, because what does light and darkness? If I have a flashlight and I have an empty black room, if I have a light source, light just beams out. It just propagates effortlessly in darkness. It just, whatever area was dark, that area is now lit. Light just propagates in darkness. And so, coming back to the question, well, why does God allow that? Because let's assume again, everyone has different ideas of how was the universe created, blah blah, and we can discuss that for hours, and no one has a clue, and no one will probably ever find the evidence or the physical evidence for that. Some people say, well, there was a big bang. I mean, that's basically what a physicist would say, but what happened before, and who initiated the bang? And then suddenly that's where the dogmatic scientists have nothing to say. They say, well, we can't know. Perhaps some people are trying to figure out, but there's no way of knowing. And of course, then it's your choice to believe that, well, something made that Big Bang happen. So let's assume there is something, not talking of a God. My concept of God is really like pure potential, pure energetic, unconditional love. That's for me is like a physical, it's like It's like a vibration. It's like an energetic reality. I don't want to put a label on it. Any, I don't like words for these kind of things. Words are just, they're just so loaded. If you talk about God, like people are gonna say, "Oh, what do you do? Do you believe in Jesus? Do you believe in whatever Buddha? Well, what is God?" And for me, like it's that word is so loaded. So for me, it's like the energetic reality is that there was pure potential, and for me, the pure potential, its energetic frequency corresponds to what a human would recognize as love. It's like this. It's almost unbearable. It's like this unbearable potential. It wants to explode. Imagine, like sometimes people say, "I'm so happy I want to explode." Go deeper to the nth degree, go higher in that, and that's what the initial frequency is, and that's what we all aim towards. That's what we all seek. We want to be that happy, or that experience that amount of love that we actually, a physical body can't hold it. It's just too high of a vibration. And so let's assume you have that. And I myself, I don't even know what is behind creation. If there was something like that, a pure potential, and it sought to experience itself. Again, from a purely logical point of view, like, because it's important for me, it needs to make sense also for my mind to incorporate all these concepts. Let's assume for a second I want to put myself in that position of a pure energetic potential. I'm like, okay, I want to experience myself. How am I going to do that? Coming back to the analogy of the light, I am light, I'm pure light. And there's just only bloody light, like, and I want to experience what light is. But there's nothing to contrast it. Like, it's experiencing a color. If there's no contrast, there's not even no color, because there's only one thing. There's nothing to contrast it with. You understand what I'm saying? It is pure logic. Something cannot happen. Something doesn't exist. Really, if there's only one thing that exists, there's nothing to compare it to. It's just like, okay, well, then you're back to the spiritual concept of I am. Well, what are you? Well, I am. Like, what else do you want me to tell you? Like, there's nothing, like, I'm not better, darker, brighter than, there's nothing to compare it to. So I am. But if I was to figure out, and figure out, okay, what would be a way for me to experience myself? What am I? Then you need to build in some contrast. It doesn't work otherwise. There's no way it would have worked. So of course, the contrast of love, light, and all of these things is the polar opposite. And the more contrast you give it, the more darkness. If you're in a pitch black room, you're gonna see the smallest little detailed nuanced lights you could ever imagine. If there's a little bit of light, it's like if you want to see the stars, you can't have any light pollution. You have to go somewhere on a volcano to see the stars, and then suddenly everything is so bright. You know what I'm saying? So to experience all these nuanced aspects of the positive, you need a strong contrast to that, and that's where the darkness comes in. And it's not that it's not that the creation of things loves the fact that there's darkness. It's not allowed. It's what is allowed is the experience of the nuanced light, which is only positive with the darkness. But in no way is the darkness celebrated, or, oh, that's great that this happened, or it's great that this happened. You can see it that way by saying, I'm so glad I got to experience this aspect of myself. So I'm not sure who I'm talking to here, and you might have experienced your share load of just crap in your life, horrible things, abuses, anything. I would argue that it is your choice to what you focus on. Are you focused on the fact that you are in that darkness and you could look around? Or are you just going to look at yourself and see how you're glowing in all of that? I understand that choice is not easy. It's just that blackness wants your attention and it thrives on your attention. But this was necessary for you to look at yourself in all of your beauty. Otherwise, you would have gone under. Your light would not be visible if you would be in plenty of light. It would just go under it. And that's eventually what's going to happen if we all go back into singularity. You know, that's where we lose that individual aspect of ourselves. But what I'm trying to get to here is that it makes sense from a very high perspective. And I understand it's hard to put yourself in that high perspective because there's so many things that want your attention. It's in the past. It's everything that was done to me, everything that happened to me. I know it's hard to let that go. There's a lot of energetic investment in, oh, well, I'm the victim and all these things. I understand it takes time to let that go. But the best way to let go is just to focus on what that gave me is like a treasure. I would have never, ever realized who I am without it. And that's true for me. Like it's true. Like I would do this, I would tick the same bloody boxes, you know. It's a pain in the ass, but I know that every single box was necessary for me to realize everything that I am right now. And again, I don't know who I'm talking to, but I'm pretty sure it applies to you as well. So it's not that God allows or whatever. It's not that everything bad in the world is good. It's a necessary means for divinity to experience itself. And eventually, there is a pull towards higher and higher consciousness. So it's not supposed to stay that way. It's one massive cycle. It's one breath. One exhale, one inhale, coming back to itself. So it is one divine breath where pure potential wants to experience itself. It fragments. And it fragments in all of its different polar opposites, which is the best way to experience itself. If you had a shitty life, the smallest moments of joy are just small little treasures, right? You would have never noticed that otherwise. That's the beauty you need to focus on. And so once this is realized, there's more and more people, the more pain there is, the more in that exhale, the more of the pain there is, that expansion, the more the lights will turn on. And after a while, you reach a threshold where over time, the entire mass of what we perceive as the bad side, the dark side, but again, it's just only it's just all one, but the polar opposite of what we typically seek becomes then smaller and smaller and smaller. And that's after the exhale comes the inhale. And of course, we're talking about, billions of years, it's one divine breath. I don't know what's going to happen. Do we really reach the singularity, and then what is there another? Is it another breath? Or there's probably a different breath in a different dimension. It's like limitless amounts of breath in different universes. collectively being the multiverse, because if you are pure potential, there's an infinity of things to experience. There's an infinite numbers of variations of whatever you would want to experience if you're that divine frequency. And we just caught in between. It's a hard thing. Well, we are lucky to be able to experience that, and we chose to experience it. We came down for that. We are the people that are aligned with me, in my collective, who thinks similarly. It's a hard gift, but it's a gift to be here to experience it, and we chose to help collectively increase that frequency. So we're doing our part for the inhale, for the coming back to source. And the darkness, just a means for the light to come through. You crack something, and the cracks are where the light comes through. You had to break it. And this, I believe, is a way to become a cycle breaker, to realize, okay, what is this all about here? Like, to look at the real big picture. And this, for a human mind, is, I think, at least for me, it was a necessary reframing of whatever is happening. What is this here, and why are people so shit, and why there's so much things that I don't like in this world. I needed a serious reframing of what I was experiencing, so that I could see the underlying beauty, the collateral beauty, and it's there. And it's the path to salvation. It's the path for you to find peace, happiness, contentment. If it's not happiness, it's at least, okay, I'm not happy, but I understand. I understand why it's hard. And I understand what's behind it. I understand my role. And I understand that ultimately everything is going to be fine. And it is hard. It is hard, especially the harder you experience, the harder it's going to be to reframe that. Particularly in cases of potentially like physical abuse or emotional abuse. How are you going to let that go? And it is a hard one. And I really don't want to give anybody advice. It's like, this is a very emotionally triggering thing, right? Where you tell them, well, you experienced this and this, and let me tell you how to overcome that. That's a recipe for disaster if there's not an openness on the other side to transcend. It's a tough pill. But it comes back to other things that I say, or that I try to relate to other people. The fact that the mind attaches itself to the past, or like in the present moment, what you experience in the present moment, and are you just focusing on things in the past, and why you're not letting them go? And letting go is it's a difficult thing. I understand that. But it has always been and will always be your choice what you're focusing on. Are you focusing on the beauty that was created? The diamond that was created in the darkness, in the pressure, in the discomfort? Are you focusing on that? Or are you saying, well, I might have become a diamond, but that pressure, that was not okay. It was not okay. It that was not fair. Knowing that you can't create a diamond without that pressure, without all these conditions. That's the condition to reveal the diamond. And then suddenly you are a diamond, and you know it, but you're still focusing on, well, that was really not okay. That was not fair. How difficult that thing was, it's. And I understand, and everyone's gonna say, well, hang on, you haven't heard about my life, and I understand all that. I and I'm sending you as much love as I can. I understand that it's not my place to tell you what to let go of, what or how to perceive your reality. I'm just here, just channeling and saying things that are really dear to my heart, because pain is not pain is pain is it's really really bad, but there are ways to transmute it. And if it would be easy, everyone would do it. It's like, this is why we call about these words magic, a magician, transmutation, alchemy. This is the high stuff. This is the big stuff. And once you feel it, once you've done it once you realize, okay, I can actually let go of that, or I can switch it. I mean, you feel it's an incredible feeling. You're invincible because nothing can touch you anymore. Nothing can touch you anymore. And there are other things you can add to that. Well, there's definitely, if you think about souls, reincarnation, if you really buy into those concepts, or it's something that resonates with you, your intuition tells you like there's something that resonates there. It feels right. Then you can add other layers like soul contracts. There was a soul contract because from that higher soul's perspective, let's say you have a soul tribe and you meet in the non-physical, and you're like, okay, guys, like, okay, the last few incarnations, it was fairly smooth. I had my fun. Let's do something. Let's do something crazy here. I really want to make a jump in my evolution. So I'm gonna tick the boxes of X, Y, and Z. But I need people to actually help me because I can't play the other part in that. And then souls make a contract. Okay, I'm gonna play that part for you. Now, can you imagine on that level where there is only love and there's only pure energy, and that another soul helps you by doing something that on this earthly realm could be absolutely despicable? Can you just imagine? I mean, that other soul is going to have that experience, going to have the experience of the abuser or whatever you want to put there. But it is their choice to do that for you. Can you even imagine, like, can you just, this is kind of mind-blowing stuff, right? I want to help you have that experience. I want to give you a gift. And it's gonna suck all the way through. But on the other side, we're just gonna high five each other like, jeez, that was tough. But all of that, all the means to achieve that are gone once you pass over. They're gone. The means were just there. The darkness was just there to reveal the light. It is not the focus. The only thing that is ever left at the end is just the light, what you gained. And that reward will come, or it will become apparent to you mostly in the afterlife, but you can still realize it right now. You can still tap into that. It's possible. You can. I believe you all can. But it requires that shift. You cannot go back to the old ways. Einstein said, if you want to solve a problem, you need to you need to switch your viewpoint. You cannot use the same viewpoint that created the problem to solve it. You need to switch to a different viewpoint. That's necessary. But there is strong attachment, strong investment in being the victim. It is an entire identity by itself, and I'm gonna have to expand on that in another post, like victim mentality. But it's a triggering word, because then, well, you don't know what I went through, and you can't possibly know what I went through, and then you're putting a label on me. No. We're talking about the energetic state of that. It's not anything. It's not a judgment whatsoever. It's like being whatever, like waiting for your manifestation, being like in a waiting energy, being in a victim energy, being in that energy. It's an energetic state that keeps you bound. And however shit it is, your mind is identified with it, so it's not going to let it go. And it's going to find all the possible reasons not to have to let it go, because, well, it doesn't make sense. If that happened to me, I'm allowed to be like that till the rest of my life, because that happened to me. And I fully understand that mental. It's just a logical way of the mind to operate. But it requires a different viewpoint. You need to look at it differently. You need to look at it from the point of view, and there's so much logic in it. That's what I kind of like about it. It's easy for any type of masculine, feminine energy to recognize that. If I had to design a game, a way to figure out or to gain that expertise, that skill, that experience, it's like physical life is perfectly designed to get what we want from a soul's perspective. It just sometimes sucks from an earthly, but that's the point. If it wouldn't suck, you wouldn't have gained what you. So switch your focus on, what did I gain? I had all this abuse, blah, and then I'm the most loving person. Imagine you break that cycle, and I was that energy that took it all, and it stopped right there, and I just chose only to give love out. I was that filter where there was this dark light coming in, that bad energy, and I filtered it all out, and what came out on the other side was just pure white light. I am that. You can't even put a value on that. That's insane. That's divine right there, divine magic right there. So if you do any degree or level of that, my hats off. Like, this is pure bloody magician type of shit you're doing. And so I'm very proud of you. And that's what I want to share today. And I think, yeah, I will have to do something else about victim mentality and that energetic state, and because I think that's worth kind of expanding on. But for now, I hope my message kind of found some type of resonance with you guys, and that it's not completely off for you. But yeah, that's it for now. So I'll see you soon. Much love.